What I'm about to share with you may be the most game changing offer that's ever been made for entrepreneurs, literally in history. And I know that's a big sentence. I've never been more excited to do a quick presentation. If you don't know me, my name is Joseph Aaron. I'm the author of the book $1,000,000 Speaker, which is a private underground book that a lot of the high level people like Russell Brunson and my co-author Eileen Wilder and other people who do high-level online or in-person events to do 7 and 8-figure days. Like this is kind of a go-to, well-respected book in the industry for that. And many of you saw recently what happened with Alex Hermosi, who of course has a large media following and ran an online virtual event and collected, according to all the reports in his own, $105 million in the space of 3 days. And of course, we've been doing events for a long time, but what I'm about to share with you is only going to be available for a few people. That's not fake marketer scarcity. This is just the real deal. You will understand that when I share it with you. It is, well, I'm just going to let it speak for itself. So here we go. So entrepreneurs are finally waking up to the most powerful asset class in the world, and that is attention. The asset class is media, right? Instead of renting it from ad platforms or paying influencers huge sums to try and get a post on one of their things, the smartest entrepreneurs are the ones who are starting to own the audience. Now, creators already understood this. If you're not paying attention, let's just take The Rock. Many of you have heard of The Rock. The Rock decided that he was going to offer his 100 million plus followers on Instagram tequila. And so is The Rock known for tequila? No. But The Rock decided that he was going to offer tequila to his people. He, of course, had an equity stake in that company. That company is now valued at $3.5 billion. Is that because The Rock makes the greatest tequila that's ever been made? Or is it because The Rock has huge distribution for free and lots of people buy his stuff because lots of people see his stuff, right? Of course, Matthew McConaughey saw this along with some others, and they started their own type of brands. Ryan Reynolds started a brand that was in the alcohol. But is this about alcohol? No. As a matter of fact, I'm not even a fan. I don't drink alcohol. I've never drank alcohol. However, Ryan Reynolds realized, oh my gosh, yeah, I have this audience, and if I like intelligently make offers to the audience, I could sell lots of stuff. And so Ryan Reynolds decided he's going to do this thing with Mint Mobile, like discounted low cost cell phones. What does Ryan Reynolds have anything to do with cell phones? And the answer is nothing, right? He just knew he had a big audience and a big following, and this was something that could work. Well, of course, many of you know the story. He used his following. He used the power of his monetization skills because he's really creative and does great commercials. And he used his free distribution, and they created a company worth $1.35 billion, of which Ryan Reynolds got about 300 million. We don't only see this in really smart people. We see this in people like I'm a fan of the notorious one, Conor McGregor in MMA. But let's face it, the guy gets punched in the head for a living, right? That's what he does. But he decided, look, if attention is the new currency, I need to figure out how to trade this in. And so what is everybody doing who is watching these fights? Well, a lot of them, I wasn't, but nevertheless, I digress. A lot of them were drinking. And so he made something called Proper 12 and exited that company for over $300 million. What's the point? The point is attention is valuable, and creators understood this. So let me just give you a quick example from something like, let's imagine you had a hat business, okay? And let's say you had $1 million in your pocket. Let's say it's the last money you had and it had to work, but you had to make an investment in either white hat company or black hat company. Okay, just trying to create some huge contrast here. And let's say what's different with this company that is selling black hats. The owner is really good at making a really good product, and so if like physically people will put the hat on, right? They'll tend to like buy the hat because it feels really good. It's comfy. It's just a really nice hat. It's good quality, right? And so you could buy this company knowing, hey, this is a good quality product. Okay, I can invest my $1 million here. Or you could invest in White Hat Company. White Hat Company also has a good hat. It's not as good as Black Hat. It's a good hat, but it's probably not the greatest hat that's ever existed. People like it. No one really complains about it. No one thinks it's bad. It's just good, right? It's just, let's even say above average good, right? However, White Hat has something Black Hat doesn't. Black Hat has a great product, but no real following. Everything they do, they're going to have to pay for ads to try and get attention. And then it's going to cost them a certain amount of money to acquire their customers. And the cost is going to be pretty significant. Most of their cost is going to be tied up in using advertising to get people's attention. So they buy the hat. And then they got to pay off the cost of the hat for each hat purchase. And they have to pay off all the acquisition costs and employees and all the other things, right? White Hat, on the other side, has 10 million subscribers. 10 million subscribers. People who follow their stuff and listen to them. And White Hat owner can just go on his channel and say, hey, I got this cool new hat, blah, 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 and put together some kind of cool offer. Okay, now let's say you have the choice. You have $1 million. It's your last $1 million. You have to invest it either into Black Hat or into White Hat. Which company are you going to invest into? Personally, if you're paying attention, I think the answer is obvious. It's White Hat. Like one of the hardest things for Black Hat to do is to get people's attention to even put the hat on. Now we know if they put the hat on, they're going to buy it, but like 10 million subscribers makes it far more likely and far safer for you if you were choosing between Black Hat and White Hat to put your investment into the White Hat company. Why? Attention is the new currency. And so right now there's a flood of creators, right? They built massive audience, but they don't know how to monetize. They don't know how to make money from it. They're just really good at getting attention. At the same time, they're entrepreneurs, kind of like our Black Hat guy, who they have good offers, they have expertise, they have desire to own income producing assets, but if they want to get attention, they've got to rent it from Meta ads. They've got to pay every time to get in front of people. It's hard, or they could try and build, but building's hard. And that's where this guy comes in, Alex Hormozi. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Alex Hormozi has 4 million followers on Instagram. He has 3.6 million here on YouTube and a bunch of other places, and owns a company called acquisition.com. Well, using his following, he had a book to sell. And for those of you who know the story, this was just a couple of weeks ago at this point. Alex sold $105 million cash collected from his event. It literally took him 3 days. Now, the build up to the event, all the time he spent building content and all these things. But the point is like being able to monetize while being able to, like, having a huge following and a huge number of people watching you. Like it's the number one monetization method in the world. Like everyone understands this. If you were a publisher and you had 2 potential authors you could invest into, and one had a huge audience and one didn't, which one are you going to invest into, right? So the problem is growing an audience is slow. It's unpredictable. And many of you know, exhausting. Most entrepreneurs don't want to be out doing TikTok dances they don't want to they just want to own the distribution. They want to plug into a proven cash flow engine and that be it. But Meta is making that harder and harder. YouTube has made that harder and harder. And so that's why we created the Entrepreneur Media Syndicate. We help entrepreneurs. Listen to me. I know this is crazy. Most people have a hard time wrapping their mind around it. We help entrepreneurs buy existing media channels, Instagram channels, YouTube channels, depending, like lots of different, but those are 2 of my favorite, YouTube and Instagram. Why? Because once you own the channel, somewhere between 100K and 1 million plus followers, you can then use that attention to sell your products and services. You turn them into cash flow producing businesses. Now, our primary way to do this, and we've been doing it for years, is with events, right? Online virtual events. They could be 1-hour events. They could be multiple hour events. They could be multi-day events. It doesn't matter. It depends on what you're selling. The point is like it's the number one media monetization method literally on the internet right now. There's nobody doing $105 million days. And I know that's an extreme example, but there are lots of other examples I can show you. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This is Renee Reckman. You've probably never heard of Renee Reckman, but you want to hear this story. Okay. Renee Reckman here has 9,000 followers. Everybody goes, ooh, right? Amazing. Not really, right? It's like, okay, cool. Like 9,000. No respect to Renee Reckman. Not trying to throw stones, Renee, in any way, shape, or form. But there's not a lot of followers, right? But Renee Reckman saw that there were a bunch of channels that were pretty big. He was working with Disney, and he saw like there were a couple of channels that were really big. And so he decided, instead of like going out there and dancing on TikTok or like just slugging away at creating content all the time, he decided that he's just like, oh, well, I think I'll just like find these channels that already exist, and I'll work a deal with the creator of the channel, and I'll either buy the channel out entirely or partially or whatever the deal is. And then I'll monetize the channel, like, because I know how to monetize and they know how to get attention, so I'll do that. So here's the thing. Here's the funniest thing. Renee Reckman had to go raise several $100 million to buy these channels. Now, if you and I were advising Renee Reckman back in the day, when he looked at buying these channels, they already had income, right? Because YouTube pays you for views. And so they were getting paid a certain amount of money based on views. But Renee Reckman was like, okay, that's great, but I can monetize them even better. I would have told Renee Reckman before I heard this story, Renee, stop. Renee, pump the brakes, bro. Be careful. Who is the audience on the channel and what are you going to sell them? And Renee Reckman picked perhaps the single worst possible audience you could possibly choose to sell to. Because he picked an audience that, number one, did not have any money. And number two, even if the audience did have money, they did not have the capacity or intelligence to pay that money. Like, what are you talking about, Joe? What is this audience? Renee Reckman bought YouTube channels whose audience was children, 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. And he spent hundreds of millions of dollars buying these gigantic channels. Do you know what happened to Renee Reckman? Within 3 years of forming, you see it right here, Moonbug Entertainment, and spending a couple $100 million, I believe it was between $200 and $300 million, to acquire channels that already had cash flow. When you buy a media channel, it already has cash flow. It's already making money. It's like buying a business. It's a media business, right? He buys the channels, Moonbug Entertainment, forms a company called Moonbug, puts all the channels under Moonbug, and 3 years later, count them, 3 years, he sold that company for $3.2 billion. Renee Reckman only has 9,000 followers. And you've never seen Renee Reckman do a dance on TikTok. And you've never seen him slugging away trying to build his personal brand. As a matter of fact, you've probably never heard of him. Renee Reckman is an entrepreneur who understands how to do deals to get the attention. He doesn't have to be the source of attention. He just has to put the deals together that get attention. The funny thing is, he sold it to this guy. This is Kevin Mayer. And Kevin Mayer also understands that attention is the new currency. And so Kevin, who used to be the CEO of TikTok, went ahead and said, man, owning channels is awesome. Owning media is awesome. I'm going to go raise some money to buy some media channels. And Kevin went and raised over, I think it's either 5.2 or 5.5 billion dollars to buy media channels. And when he saw what Mr. Renee Reckman was doing, he was like, cool. Can I buy your channel, Renee? And Renee said, sure. That'll be $3.2 billion. And Kevin said, happily, and gave him $3.2 billion for these channels. Then he had another $2 billion to play with, went and bought some other channels, right? As of right now, Renee Reckman's channels are doing fantastic. Kevin's very happy with it. There was a recent event that he spoke at. I went and figured out what was going on, did all the deep research and stuff like that, and it looks like things are going well. And he learned a couple lessons that are going to be really valuable for you and me, but more on that in a second. Notice, how many followers does Kevin Mayer have? 581. Doesn't strike me as a creator in any way, shape, or form. Funny thing is, while I was looking for Kevin Mayer, I had to Google him to try and find his following. And this is the Kevin Mayer that came up first. And Kevin, respect to Kevin, world record holder, decathlon, let's go, 9,126, insane. My man's got 370,000 followers. But you know what he doesn't have? I don't think, no offense, Mr. Kevin Mayer. He doesn't have $5.2 billion or $5.5 billion in funding to buy more media channels that are making it rain like a hurricane for his investors. Wow. The point is, you don't need to build an audience. You can buy an audience. Do you get it? Because attention is the new currency. And so what we've put together is the Entrepreneur Media Syndicate. And here's what you get. We're going to help you buy a media channel that you will own. You probably have questions. Well, wait a second. If I own the channel, don't I have to create all the content? Well, it depends on which kind of channel you buy. Renee Reckman didn't, right? So we can talk more about that. But the short answer is nope, doesn't have to. Do you want one for your personal brand? Sure, you could buy one that just is your personal brand and your face. Or you could buy one that doesn't have your face at all. We're going to help you build a proven monetization plan. You'll see in a minute all the people that we've helped make millions of dollars who had access to and reach of media. And then you're going to get help from our team to craft an offer to run I'm going to call it a Hormozy style launch now because he just did it and he's the GOAT now because he made 105 million. But we've been doing this since 2020. But nevertheless, and build a system for long-term growth so you can constantly be monetizing this media channel. And then also you're going to get access to a network of media and monetization pros backing your channel. That's us, right? So we're building a community of entrepreneurs who want to be like Renee Reckman and buy media channels to blow up either their own brand, or if you don't have an offer at all right now, it's okay. You can just buy a media channel and build an offer specifically for that channel. Okay, that's what we want to help you do, because the whole world, the whole entrepreneur community, everything you're seeing online is either about building your audience so you have more reach, or it's about how to convert more of your audience. So it's like either of those two. What we're telling you is like, you don't have to build it. You can just buy it and then monetize it, and we'll help you do both. Here's why this works. Because like I said, everybody's focused on converting existing audience or working real hard and creating less content to build an audience so you have distribution. But what if you could have distribution on day one? When you control attention, you can plug in products, offers, brand deals, and you can print money just like Renee Reckman did. We've used this system to create all kinds of 6- and 7-figure and multi-7-figure launches on demand. We just need a channel that we can invite to the event and make it rain like a hurricane, right? Here's who this is for. If you're an entrepreneur who wants to own the audience instead of rent it, what I mean by rent it, if you're paying a bunch of money in ads, right? You're renting the audience. You're going to pay whatever it is, $20, $30, $40 per 1,000 views. You're renting it. As soon as that view happens, it's gone. You don't get to have that view again for free. If you own the audience, you put out posts, it goes out for free, right? If you want cash flow without grinding out content every day, this is for you. If you want a business model that scales with or without you, this is for you. You can 100% do what are called faceless channels. Renee Reckman's channel, faceless. The kids weren't watching Renee Reckman. They were watching cartoons. Okay? All right, fantastic. So here's some examples of some people who talked about me. So you know the circles I run in case you haven't heard of me before. I don't imagine this is going to get very far outside of my personal network before this offer is gone. But nevertheless, this is Russell Brunson. I was in his mastermind for multiple years. I consider him a friend. Yeah, I believe he would say the same about me. He says what I've written and how I do monetization events is the most profound development in public speaking that he's seen in his 20 years on stage. That's what Russell said in this book. Myron Golden was a mentor. He said that I'm one of the most brilliant stage presenters I know. If you want someone who's going to produce results and profits for your business, this is the guy. This is one of my clients, Michael Lush. We did events for him for years. He said it's added millions of dollars to the bottom line for our business in 23 alone. So moving into 24, we're now believers. We're going to implement everything that Multiply Inc. has to do. And yes, we made millions and millions of dollars in 2024 as well. And it was, a big piece of that. Some of that was paid ads and some of that was media channels, right? Finding media channels. He didn't even acquire them. He just partnered with them. Okay. And then Dan Henry, I helped him do his first $1 million day. Brendan Burchard, I never did an event for. He actually just saw me speak on stage, and he says we brought fire on stage. Rasmus was another client. He did $500,000 in his first event alone. This is Dr. Darius Daniels, a pastor and transformational coach. He had about 300,000 followers. I don't want to share his numbers, but they were very big. They were so big that they scared him, and we stopped the sales. There were more sales coming in. We stopped taking more sales because so many came in. He was absolutely shocked. And that's with a relatively small audience of 300,000. And this is Marvin Mitchell. Marvin has put his numbers out there. He was in our mastermind. He was also in Myron's mastermind at the same time. Some of the things that I told him to do with partnering with media channels helped him get a deal together. And he did several events with one channel that had 1 million followers and did approximately $15 million in revenue. So yeah, that's not a bad day at the office, right? These are the kind of the things we see, and why I decided I'm going to go all in on acquiring media channels. Now, I want to invite you to be a part of this community I'm building. We're going to help you do the events. We're going to help you monetize the channels. We're going to help you find the channels to buy. We're going to help you do brand partnerships. Like, this is a community. There will be some meetups. You don't have to do that. Think of it mastermind style. There will be some meetups for that as well. But we can talk more about that if you're interested. We're only going to do a few qualified partners at a time. The reality is originally I was going to go only Renee Reckman style, and I was just going to raise $100 million and buy the channels myself and monetize them. With the advent of AI and everything happening with AI, I think it's important that we move quickly. And there's a biblical principle I believe in, which is 1 will put 1,000 to flight and 2, 10,000. And so the idea is the more smart people come together to collaborate on a given task, the more effective their results can be together. And so while this is a private opportunity, you are coming into a community and we are all going to be focused on this together. All right. You may want 100,000 followers. You may want 1 million followers. We can have that conversation about what your particular goals are and how we can help you. But I can tell you that, there's only so many people we're going to need to help. And then from those events and everything else, and plus with me raising capital on the side, I don't need to do a lot of this. And I was a little concerned, because I'm like, am I creating competition for myself? And then I thought, oh, that's some serious scarcity thinking. You just need to like get your mind right. So if you want to own a profitable media channel and let us help you turn it into 7 or multi-7 figures a year, for some of you, it may even be 8 figures like we've had some clients do. All you got to do is text media to 321-877-6650. And happy to have a conversation with you via text there and let you know. But this is truly, in my opinion, like events plus a media channel is the #1 media monetization method on the planet. And you can only get your conversion rate so high. I've been with the best in the business. I feel like I think it's true that I close at the same rates or higher than many of the names that you know in the business and when we're doing events. But the reality is I can only get the conversion rate so high. But you can go all the way to 8 billion with number of people in a room. And if anyone just proved that, it was Alex Ramosi getting, approximately 100,000 people in the room. And you can kind of see the numbers that he was able to do that. I mean, basically each person who came was worth about $1,000. So if you're serious, as my mentor Myron Golden used to say, if you're serious and not just curious, and you're like, oh my gosh, everybody's focused on conversions and everybody's struggling with getting more people in the room, what if you owned your own media channel? What if you partnered with a media channel that already had a huge number of people and would create all the content? Would that be valuable? And the answer is, you better believe it. So text media to 321-877-6650, and looking forward to talking to you. Isn't this exciting? Thank you so much. And we'll see you in the text messages. Bye.